I want you to imagine the soft glow of a bedside lamp in a calm bedroom late at night. The house is quiet, the neighbors' lights are slowly flicking off, and you're settling into a familiar ritual. You slip into those cozy pajamas, maybe adjust your pillow just the way you like it, and cradle a glass of water on the nightstand. You've done it hundreds, if not thousands of times. But have you ever thought that something you do or don't do in those final moments before sleep could be silently reshaping your strength, even your sense of self? I'm Dr. Shen, and tonight I want to share a story that might feel intimately familiar. There was a patient of mine, Mr. Tao, who loved his evening routine, a late TV show, a quick bedtime snack, and then straight to bed. At 65, he felt he was doing just fine. But over the months, he noticed something unsettling. It took extra effort to walk up the porch steps, and twisting open a jar seemed harder than it used to be. Small things, right? But these little signals were like the first cracks in an old wooden bench, easy to ignore until it collapses. Before we get deeper, let me gently say, if you find yourself relating, stay with me until the end, because the final insight I'll share might change your outlook on aging forever. Let's take a pause. Think back to a time, maybe decades ago, when your muscles felt almost tireless, whether you were gardening, playing with grandchildren, or dancing the night away. That sense of capability felt so natural. Often, we chalk up the change to just getting older, as though diminished strength is as inevitable as silver hair. But there's more to it than that. Over the years, I've studied practices from Shaolin traditions that speak to how the body rebuilds or breaks down under the cloak of night. Now I want you to recall a scene, a friend or family member who once moved with ease, now struggling to stand from a low chair. There's a heaviness in your heart when you see that. And what if I told you that, for many of us, this creeping frailty has to do with what we're not doing in those final precious minutes before we drift off? If that comes as a surprise, you're not alone. Even the medical mainstream rarely highlights how vital bedtime practices can be for preserving muscle strength. But ancient Shaolin teachings recognize that night is not merely a time for passive rest. It's a chance to engage in a partnership with our body, sending it signals of care, commitment, and intention. Let's share another quick story. An older gentleman named Phil told me about his frustration watching his physique wither. "Doc," he said, "I can't figure it out. I'm not that old, but everything feels heavier. My own arms, my legs." He'd been taught that muscle loss was just part of the package of aging. But a subtle shift in nighttime routine and mindset led him to reclaim some of that former strength. Curious? Good, because I want that same hopeful spark to light within you, too. You might wonder, is this about intense workouts before bed? Hardly. Actually, it starts with a simple truth. Your muscles are not lumps of inanimate tissue. They hold memory, like how your arms once rocked a baby to sleep, or how your legs carried you on a vacation walk through cobblestone streets. These bodily moments are woven into who we are. And when we let muscle fade, we're not just losing physical strength. We're losing living pieces of our personal tapestry. Have you ever woken up after what you thought was a good night's sleep, only to feel somehow weaker or more creaky than the day before? We assume sleep should restore us, and it does, under the right conditions. But if we go to bed unprepared, the body can turn cannibal in the night, feeding on muscle tissue. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's a phenomenon recognized by both modern science and ancient health disciplines. The body looks for fuel, If we haven't given it the right signals or nutrients, it may break down muscle for energy instead of tapping fat stores or leaving muscle alone. Let that idea sink in. Imagine your own body quietly nibbling away at your hard-won strength. Not a comforting image, is it? Think of Mr. Tao, who only realized he'd been losing strength bit by bit over months of restless nights. By the time he noticed, he was deep into a cycle of decline. But that cycle can be broken. The first step is awareness. The second step is a simple bedtime routine that's as gentle as it is powerful. Just a moment of reflection here. Perhaps you're asking, does it have to be complicated? Some elaborate series of yoga poses or endless prayers? Not at all. Ancient Shaolin philosophy teaches us that mindful intention is often more potent than complicated routines. The mind and body share a language beneath our daily chatter, one that can be spoken in stillness. A quiet moment of focus, a deliberate breath, a thoughtful choice of late-night nourishment. These are the subtle gestures that can reshape your experience. Let's talk about an old friend of mine from the temple days, a man named Liu. He was admired for his remarkable vitality even at 70. One night, over a steaming pot of tea, I asked his secret. He spoke of what he called night forging, a half-hour he dedicates to mindful movement and gentle encouragement to his muscles before lights out. But he explained it with a twinkle in his eye, saying, "My muscles are like old friends. They just need to hear me say, 'Stay strong. I appreciate you.'" That simple approach changed how I viewed nighttime. And now I want to share its essence with you. If you've ever brushed your teeth in a rush, let your mind race, and collapsed into bed, you know how easy it is to ignore our bodies at the end of the day. But a conscious routine can prevent that hidden muscle breakdown many of us face. Maybe we do a few minutes of slow tension and release exercises, clenching each muscle, letting go, breathing calmly. The goal is not to work up a sweat, but to let the body know, "Hey, I still need you. I value your strength." Pause with me here. Take a breath. Feel how your shoulders rise and fall. Simple, right? But do you notice the difference when you pay close attention to that motion, maybe even sending a mental thank you to your shoulders for supporting you? When's the last time you thanked your own body? For decades of carrying groceries, hugging loved ones, or pushing lawnmowers? Maybe we forget that such gratitude can be a form of fuel, just as real as food or water. Now let's address that crucial point, the last meal or snack of the day. We often unconsciously reach for starchy or sweet comfort foods, a handful of crackers, a little ice cream, or leftover pizza. But those late carbs prime our system to store fat and degrade muscle while we sleep. Instead, consider leaning toward a small portion of quality protein, like a piece of fish or a small serving of lean poultry, and some healthy fats, such as a spoonful of avocado or a few nuts. The older Shaolin texts often advised a small portion of nourishing broth with herbs to send a "we are building, not breaking" message to the body overnight. That might look different for each of us, but the principle remains. Choose nutrients that whisper, "repair," rather than "tear down." Have you felt a twinge of anxiety about how to incorporate all this? Breathe easy. Even small shifts can yield big changes. Remember, this isn't an all-or-nothing game. Mr. Tao started by swapping his bedtime cookies for a bit of cottage cheese with cucumber slices. Then, for 5 minutes, he'd practice slow, mindful breathing and muscle awareness. You don't need elaborate routines either. Just a short window, 15 or 20 minutes, can make a world of difference. A short side note. If you're concerned about specific health conditions or special dietary needs, please check in with your own healthcare provider. Everyone's body is unique, and it's worth ensuring you adapt any changes to suit your situation. But in general, these gentle practices, like mindful breathing, a bit of protein, and mental focus, are beneficial for many seniors aiming to preserve or even rebuild muscle strength. Let me share a touching story of Ms. Wu, a retired teacher. She joked she'd once had arms like noodles from years of desk work. After reading about these bedtime techniques, she started a nightly muscle meditation, lying in bed, breathing deeply, and systematically sending gratitude to her legs, arms, and core. Within 2 weeks, she found climbing her front steps easier. 2 months later, she was volunteering at the community garden, hauling small bags of soil with surprising vigor. Her friends asked if she'd been lifting weights at the gym. She just smiled knowingly. Could you imagine such a shift for yourself? There's something quietly empowering about deciding how you want your night to heal you. Instead of drifting into sleep as a passive passenger, you step into a gentle command role, guiding your body to protect and preserve the strength you've built over decades. And this doesn't just restore muscle, it touches your spirit. Sometimes seniors feel invisible or powerless in a society that worships youth. But when you take charge of your nighttime ritual, you're essentially saying, "I'm not done yet. My body and I have more living to do." I can almost hear some of you asking, "But Dr. Shen, it's so simple. Can it truly be effective?" Let me reassure you, the simplicity is precisely the power. Our modern world often confuses complexity with effectiveness. Yet Shaolin teachings and contemporary research both underline that consistent, mindful practices can create profound change. After all, water can carve a canyon, drop by steady drop. Let's shake things up for a second with a question. Have you ever realized how much quiet transformation occurs while you're asleep? Bones rebuild, cells repair, memories consolidate. Your brain sorts through a day's worth of experiences, deciding what to keep. Sleep is not a lazy pause, but a dynamic workshop behind closed curtains. So let's do our part by sending the workers in that workshop the right materials and instructions. If we go to bed frantic, full of sweets, or ignoring our bodies, we might undermine that workshop's productivity. But if we approach bedtime with reverence, giving ourselves nutrients, calm breath, and purposeful intention, we might awaken to a body that's been gently fortified rather than depleted. Take a moment to absorb that. Does it remind you of any life lessons or changes you've experienced before, where small, consistent efforts led to big results over time? Maybe learning a hobby or mastering a skill? This is no different. Think of your body as an old friend you can train side by side with. And yes, you can harness that synergy well into your 70s, 80s, or beyond. Now, if you find yourself feeling hopeful or comforted by these insights, I'd love to stay in touch. Whenever you feel moved, consider liking this video or subscribing, not because we're chasing numbers, but because it helps us continue sharing these heartfelt messages, bridging wisdom from East and West, and reminding us all that we're in this together. Let's circle back to the concept of muscle memory. Often, we use that phrase to describe how our bodies remember movements like riding a bike. But I like to think of it more deeply. Our muscles literally carry the echoes of our past experiences, dancing at a cousin's wedding, carrying children, or hoisting groceries. If we want those echoes to remain strong and resonant, we need to send them the signal that we still need them. that they remain an active part of who we are. A dear friend of mine, Master Lee, once said, "Night is a mirror of day. If you want a strong tomorrow, prepare the night before." He recounted how, during temple training, novices were taught to lie quietly at bedtime and imagine themselves in morning practice, kicking, stretching, balancing with poise. Over time, that nightly visualization seeped into their muscles. They woke up more in tune and progressed faster than those who collapsed into bed without thought. Now, you don't have to practice martial arts to benefit from this. You can simply picture yourself moving gracefully through your day, walking confidently, lifting items without strain, bending without wincing. It's a mental rehearsal that instructs your body how to shape itself. Sometimes people get uneasy about the notion of talking to your muscles or picturing energy flow. But guess what? Our minds and bodies communicate in countless ways. If we neglect that conversation, we leave a door open for negative beliefs. "I'm just too old. I can't keep up," to slip in and shape us. Alternatively, if we speak kindly to our muscles, that sets a different narrative. "I'm grateful for your strength. Let's keep it up." Over time, we become that narrative, physically and emotionally. This isn't mystical talk. Modern science supports the influence of guided imagery and positive intention on physiological processes. Genes can turn on or off based on our mental states. Hormones can shift. The line between mind and muscle is more permeable than we once thought. Have you ever felt a surge of adrenaline when you were anxious, or a lift in posture when you were proud? That's a glimpse into how quickly emotions alter our bodies. Now imagine harnessing that for consistent improvement, especially at night when the body's in prime repair mode. This approach is as much about renewing your spirit as it is about maintaining muscles. I recall Ms. Wu telling me, months after she started her nightly routine, that she was no longer afraid of becoming a burden to her family. She realized she had more control over her aging than she ever imagined. Can you feel the power in that statement? The relief that you don't have to surrender to weakness, that you have a say in how your body ages? Let's take a gentle pause. Picture yourself in a comfortable bed, the lights dimmed. You've just had a small, protein-rich snack, maybe a piece of grilled fish and some sautéed vegetables. You're breathing slowly, scanning each part of your body with your mind's eye. You linger on your core, sense the warmth in your arms, and whisper an internal pledge. I honor this strength. I carry it forward into tomorrow. Then you drift off, secure in the knowledge that you've done your part to hold on to your muscle mass, your independence, and a piece of your life story. That's not an extravagance or a chore. It's self-love in action. If your heart resonates with this, let me extend a warm invitation. After you experience changes, perhaps a steadier step or a renewed zest in the morning, come back and share in the comments. Let me know how it's going for you. It could motivate others who feel isolated or discouraged. These stories can form a supportive circle, just like the old temple courtyard, where each student's progress inspired the next. I want to address something that might be on your mind. But is it ever too late to start? Absolutely not. I've seen seniors in their late 80s adopt these bedtime practices, and within weeks notice subtle improvements, fewer aches, steadier posture, better confidence. Aging is not about a ticking clock that runs out of miracles. It's about your willingness to meet your body halfway and remind it that you still have things to do, experiences to embrace, and people to love. We've touched on the mental aspect, the dietary aspect, and the mindful movement aspect. Let's talk environment briefly. Our modern world glows with screens and distracts us with endless pings. Blue light from phones and tablets can disrupt sleep cycles and hamper muscle repair. Try dimming devices or switching them off altogether at least an hour before bed. That might feel like pulling away from a well-worn habit, scrolling on your phone in the darkness. But trust me, it's worth it. Protect that sacred pre-sleep window so you can focus on sending your body the signals it needs to remain a faithful ally. Another friend of mine, Ms. Song, used to blame her restless nights on insomnia. Yet once she introduced calm breathing, minimal screen time before bed, and a little muscle gratitude, her sleep deepened. She told me that, for the first time in years, she woke feeling light in her body and mind. This quiet revolution in your nighttime routine may feel subtle at first, but day by day, it adds up. You don't have to rely solely on external fixes or accept that things can only get worse. Let's also consider how your perspective can shift when you realize muscle loss is not simply fate. I recall the sense of liberation in Mr. Tao's eyes when he understood that he wasn't trapped in a downward spiral. With renewed conviction, he said, "I can guide my body, even now. It isn't too late." And that's the attitude that can transform your future days. If you find these insights valuable, and if they help you feel more hopeful or more in tune with your body, consider subscribing to our channel or leaving a comment about your own journey. It's like coming together around a virtual tea table, sharing wisdom and encouragement. We'll be here every step of the way, offering more tips to keep you strong, engaged, and joyful. By now, you might be wondering, is there a final piece to this puzzle? Yes, and it's vital: forging a genuine, compassionate partnership with your body. We often treat our bodies as separate entities, something we drag around or scold for not performing perfectly. But your body has stood by you through every milestone. It deserves your respect and kindness, especially now. When you shift from a place of resentment or neglect to a place of gratitude and collaboration, you spark a deeper level of healing. I knew a remarkable woman named Gao who had an old sports injury from her youth. She said she'd always cursed her knee for hurting. One day, she decided to switch from cursing to gratitude, thinking, "That knee served me for so long, it let me do amazing things." She started a nightly gratitude practice, gently massaging her knee and mentally thanking it. Within a couple of weeks, she reported less discomfort and more mobility. Some might say that's just placebo. But is that so bad if the result is real relief and improved function? The mind is a powerful tool in shaping our physical reality. To any of you who might still doubt, I encourage you to do an experiment. For just 1 week, adjust your bedtime habits. Have a moderate protein-based evening meal. Minimize electronics an hour before bed. Do a short tension and release routine. Then lie down and practice sending positive intention to each major muscle group. If you wake up feeling a touch more energetic or find that routine tasks are a fraction simpler, that's a sign this approach is working. And if you find deeper relief, carry it forward another week, then another. Let it become your nightly ritual, a comforting moment of self-care before drifting off. Now let's bring everything full circle. Remember that bedside lamp glow, the soft hush of night enveloping your home. Once upon a time, maybe you crawled into bed only to wake up weaker the next day without knowing why. But tonight can mark a new chapter. Instead of your muscles slowly slipping away while you sleep, let them be revitalized by your conscious efforts. Instead of feeling the dread of aging, feel the reassurance that you're active in shaping your health. As you settle in, recall the promise you've made to your body. I will feed you properly, breathe deeply, and speak kindly to you. Remember how Ms. Wu reclaimed her ease of movement, or how Ms. Song found a deeper, more restorative sleep. You can weave these same transformations into your own story. Let your nightly routine be like a gentle caretaker, locking the door against the silent thieves of muscle breakdown and welcoming in the quiet architects of muscle growth and restoration. Let's take one more warm pause together, letting these thoughts settle. Picture yourself a month from now, or even a year, having grown more confident in your physical capabilities. Maybe your posture is straighter, or you notice you can stand from a chair without bracing. The changes can be profound or subtle, but they accumulate, fueling a sense of possibility. That sense is what I wish for you, with all my heart. And so we come back to where we started. The simple act of going to bed each night, but now infused with mindfulness, love, and practical strategy. It's no longer just a nightly routine. It's a time of renewal. In that final embrace of the day, you can be sure your muscles won't vanish, but stay strong and loyal, carrying the echoes of your life's best moments. Tomorrow, you'll rise not weaker, but a little more resilient than you were today. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I hope you walk away feeling not just informed, but inspired. If you've ever doubted your power in this aging journey, I urge you to try these small nightly steps. Let's rewrite the story of growing older together, turning it from a tale of decline into one of continued growth and quiet triumph. And when you see even the smallest sign of success, maybe climbing a flight of stairs without pause, celebrate it. Because that's your body's way of saying, I listened, and I'm grateful too. As you turn off the lights tonight, do so with a sense of anticipation, knowing that your evening routine is safeguarding more than just muscle. It's guarding a lifetime of precious experiences stored within your tissues. It's ensuring you can keep sharing your strength, your hugs, your kindness with the world. Just as we began, let's end with that comforting image, the gentle glow of a bedside lamp, but now it's illuminating a path of hope and possibility. May your rest be peaceful, your body be fortified, and your tomorrow shine just a bit brighter than today. Safe dreams, my friends, and may you wake up feeling not the weight of passing years, but the promise of new strength.